I stood at the edge of my cornfield, staring down at the fresh tire tracks carved straight through the heart of my crops. Again, fourth time this week. The deep, wide grooves were unmistakable white Cadillac Escalade tires. The rows of corn I'd planted 3 months ago were crushed flat, stalks snapped, mud flung everywhere like the aftermath of a tantrum thrown by a 2-ton luxury SUV. And I knew exactly who it was. Victoria Petton, treasurer of the Meadowbrook Estates HOA, a woman who genuinely believed her designer sunglasses and her husband's title as HOA president gave her authority over land that didn't belong to her. She claimed she had easement rights. She didn't. My name is Marcus Chen. I'm 47 years old, a cattle rancher and the legal owner of 80 acres of land that sits firmly outside any HOA jurisdiction. I bought this property specifically to avoid people like Victoria, but boundaries, deeds, and basic decency meant nothing to her. By the end of the story, Victoria's $90,000 Escalade would be sitting dead in the middle of my cornfield on 4 shredded tires. Her lawyer would be begging me not to press charges, and her carefully curated life would start collapsing in ways she never imagined. But before we get there, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from and what time it is where you are. I love seeing how far this community reaches. And if you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that button because you're definitely going to want to see how this ends. Now let me take you back to how this nightmare began. 3 years ago, I walked away from a 25-year career in logistics management. Burnout, they call it. I call it realizing that life is too short to die in conference rooms arguing over shipping manifests. I'd saved carefully, invested wisely, and when this 80-acre property in rural Nebraska came up for sale, I jumped on it. The land was perfect. Rolling hills, rich soil, a creek cutting through the eastern edge, and most importantly, it sat just outside the Meadowbrook Estates HOA boundary. I'd heard enough HOA horror stories to know I wanted no part of that world. I built the farm slowly, started with 20 head of cattle, planted corn and soybeans, restored the old farmhouse, converted the barn into a proper working space. My property connected to County Road 47 via a long private gravel driveway about half a mile that I maintained myself. It was peaceful, quiet, everything I'd dreamed of during all those years of corporate stress. Meadowbrook Estates bordered my western property line, a gated community full of oversized homes, manicured lawns, and residents who believed their $700 monthly HOA fees made them nobility. Their entrance was 3 miles away off the main highway, nowhere near my land. Victoria Petton lived in one of the biggest houses there. Her husband Richard had been HOA president for 6 years. Victoria served as treasurer, which in hindsight should have been a warning all on its own. 6 months ago, the trespassing began. I was checking on my cattle early one morning when I heard an engine tearing across my field. I turned and saw a white Escalade charging diagonally through my corn like it was a public road, flattening crops, spraying mud, and disappearing toward Meadowbrook's rear gate. I stood there stunned. Who drives through someone else's farm? 2 days later it happened again, same vehicle, same path, same destruction. The third time I was ready. I drove my truck out and blocked her route. The Escalade screeched to a stop. Victoria rolled down her window, irritated as if I were the problem. "This is private property," I said, keeping my voice calm. "You can't drive through here." She laughed, actually laughed. "There's an easement," she said dismissively. "From the 1960s, county records, I'm allowed to use this." "I own this land," I replied. "There's no easement on my deed." She smirked. "Check the records, honey, you're new here." Then she drove around my truck, crushing more corn, and disappeared. I went straight to my lawyer, Jim Sutton, the same man who handled my purchase. He ran a full title search. 2 days later, he called me. "Marcus, your title is clean, no easements, none, she's trespassing, period." I thought that would end it. I was wrong. Victoria started using my land twice a day, 7:15 every morning, 5:00 every evening. Like clockwork, I documented everything: photos, dates, times, damage. Her route ran close to where my cattle grazed, and cows are sensitive animals. The roaring engine spooked them constantly, especially 3 pregnant heifers due in spring. I installed large reflective no trespassing signs. She didn't even slow down. So I escalated legally. Jim helped me draft a formal cease and desist letter, certified mail, proof of delivery. She received it. 3 days later, I watched her tear it open, glance at it, and throw it into my field before flooring the accelerator. I called the sheriff. Deputy Morrison came out, took notes, and later returned frustrated. She claims there's an easement, he said, and she says you're harassing her. That's a lie, I said, and those documents are fake. I believe you, he replied, but this is civil, you'll need court. Court meant time, money, months, maybe years, while she kept destroying my land. So I installed a heavy-duty steel gate across her path. Saturday morning, she showed up with bolt cutters. Bolt cutters. She sliced through my chain, knocked down the gate, flipped me off, and drove through. My trail camera caught everything. This time, Deputy Morrison filed a criminal damage report. Then the lawyers came. Threats, letters, false claims of historical access. Jim told me court would cost $30,000 minimum. Meanwhile, Victoria got worse, honking, speeding, deliberately terrorizing my cattle. Then Daisy miscarried. She was 6 weeks from calving, stress-induced miscarriage, $4,500 loss minimum. That was my breaking point. I researched spike strips. Legal non-lethal, vehicle-only damage. Jim reviewed everything. With clear warnings, he said, you're within your rights. So I did everything by the book. 30 massive warning signs, cameras everywhere, certified letters, sheriff notified. And Monday morning at 7:14 a.m., Victoria showed up. She ignored every sign. And when her Escalade hit the first strip, pub, the nightmare finally stopped.